Another golden day for Jamaica at the World Athletics Championships in Budapest, Hungary. Close misses for the Caribbean in the women's triple, but Shericka Jackson ensured there was joy for the region in the women's half-lap event. Let's have a look at the final results. That's going to come up anytime now. Shericka Jackson winning the women's 200 meters in a championship record 21.41 seconds. Gatwick Thomas finished in second position with 21.81, just ahead of the 100 champion Sha'Carri Richardson, who finished in third position, clocking a time of 21.82. Noah Lyles won the men's 200 meters. His final time 19.51 seconds. His American teammate Arian Knighton finished in second position at 19.75, and Letsila Tobago going away with double medals for him, 100 silver, 200 bronze, 1981 his time. Zarnell used the 100 bronze medalist, finishing in fourth position at 20.02. Andre de Grasse, the reigning Olympic champion, down in sixth at 20.14. Andrew Hudson, the Jamaican who was advanced to the final, having finished fifth in his semi-final, but there was a car crash accident that affected him, and apparently he had blisters in his eyes, and he got into the final 20.40, finished in 8th position, which means it's Joseph Fanbule out of Liberia who ended out of the money in 9th position. There is also a women's triple jump final today as well, and what a terrific final that was. Yulimar Rojas winning her 4th world title, but she needed a final round effort of 15.08 meters to win that. She was down in 8th position heading into that final effort with a best of 14.33. It was clutch track and field at its very best. Let's have a look at the medal table, shall we? After day number 7 of a competition, Jamaica now up to 9 medals, 3 gold, 3 silver, and 3 bronze. In third position, the United States lead the way with 23 medals, 8 gold, 8 silver, and 7 bronze. Spain with 4 medals, all of them gold, and as I told you yesterday, all of them coming in the race walk events, the 20-kilometer and the 35-kilometer race walk events. Great Britain in 4th position. They have 5 medals, 2, 2, and 1. And here's the second page coming up now. You'll see Venezuela at the bottom of that with a gold medal. That was Yulimar Rojas' performance earlier today. And Sweden, they have a gold and a silver there, top of that second page on the medal table. A couple of Caribbean teams to come on the third page of this table. Remember, the British Virgin Islands winning silver in the 400-meter hurdles through Kyron McMaster, and they are holding down 24th position at this stage. The Barbados, they have slipped down to the 4th page of this table because they have a bronze medal that came through Shade Williams in the 400 meters, tied for 31st at this stage. And you'll see Brazil, Czech Republic, Finland, the hosts, Hungary, Lithuania, China, Qatar, and Romania, all with a bronze medal. It's not easy to get medals at these World Championships. We're joined once again by our in-house analyst, Leighton Levy. He's in studio. He's been with us all week, and it's our absolute pleasure to have him once again. Leighton Levy, how are you doing today? I didn't like your response when I asked you how you were doing yesterday, and a number of my friends made note of it, but I'm going to ask anyhow. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Ricardo. I'm actually doing quite well. I actually had a good night's sleep last night for the first time in a long while. I watched some good track and field today at an incredible triple jump competition, and I'm doing great. Notwithstanding the fact that the Caribbean didn't get a medal, but it was remarkable competition when you consider that for the first time in the history of the triple jump at the World Championships, I think 6 women jumping over 14 meters, 1480, and not winning a medal. It's ridiculous. It was a good day for me, and I'm happy, and it's Friday. I can sleep in tomorrow morning.
All right, we're going to be talking about the triple jump in a little while, but we're starting with the women's 200 meters and the performance from Shericka Jackson. As I pointed out at the top of the show, she is the 4th woman to defend the world 200-meter title on the women's side. Of course, Allyson Felix won it 3 times in a row, 03, 05, and 07. Merdy Inotto was the first to defend this title, 1993 and 95. Although Merlinotti didn't cross the line first in 95, it was Gwen Torrance who was later disqualified. But as I said at the top of the show, no woman has defended this title as emphatically as Shericka Jackson did today with the second fastest time in history, 21:41.
When you run 21:45 a year ago, which is the second fastest time in history, and you come back and replace that with a time of 21:41 in a wind of 0.1 meters per second, it's absolutely stunning. And when you consider, if you looked at that race and put a 1.5 wind behind Shericka Jackson down the home stretch, you're looking at somebody equaling or possibly going past the existing world record of 21:34, set way back in 1988. It's a remarkable performance, and considering the field, the Gabby Thomas 21:6, Shakara Richardson, Julian Alfred, all under 22 seconds this year, and they weren't even close in that race at all. She totally destroyed that field. It was an emphatic performance, and one which established her as one of the greatest 200-meter runners in history.
So often, when performances are laid down, we look at wind reading. And wind reading can affect a race positively or negatively. There can also be other factors in terms of atmospheric conditions and all of that. But if you think about it and you take everything into consideration, the world record 21:34 from Florence Griffith Joyner was done with a plus 1.3 meters per second wind. Would you argue that this is the greatest 200-meter performance of all time, even though it is not the world record?
Well, let me first put that answer to that question in context here, because I'm extremely biased when it comes to FloJo's world records.
Yes.
So, in real terms...
But withstanding what you think about FloJo, we're just talking about the performances.
The performances, listen, back in 1988...
Yes.
There were not 4 women who were running as fast as what we're seeing now. Gabby Thomas came into this championships at 21:6, right? Julian Alfred came in at 21:9, similarly Shakara Richardson. The quality of the performance, the quality of the competitors in this race, that which Shericka Jackson destroyed like she was running against me over 200 meters, is perhaps the greatest performance you will see over 200. I thought the performance last year, when she again decimated the field, Shelley Fraser Price finishing in second in 21:83. Gabby Thomas ran 21:81 and was similarly dispatched. So you're looking at the dominance of this performance, and back-to-back in back-to-back years, this has to rank right up there, if not the best of all time, in terms of the performance itself, considering also the wind factor. Because as we mentioned, we were talking about it off air, this stadium, there is not a lot of wind in the stadium, so the wind is fluctuating between 0.1 and maybe 0.4, I think it was. So the wind factor is also a significant contribution to the time, because as I mentioned previously, had there been a significant wind, the outcome would have been a lot more impressive as well, given how impressive this already is.
Yeah, looking at the body language and how she executed the race, you got the feeling that she ran this race with a vengeance, because our information is that her coach, Stephen Francis, was a little hard on her post the 100-meter loss to Sha'Carri. And she came out today to make a statement.
Absolutely. Look, when I watch 100, I watch it about 15 times, looking at different phases of the race. And it was not a very good race from Shericka in terms of where the execution should be, given what we saw at the National Stadium in Kingston in July. There were issues there, but notwithstanding that, it was 10:72 is 10:72. The fact is that she didn't run as good a race as she could have run. Having been brought back down to earth, because of that loss and because of what we're hearing is really harsh conversations between herself and her coach, she would have come out here a lot more focused. She would have come out with a significant amount of angst, given that she'd lost the 100 and that her reputation was being put on the line and was being actually questioned in terms of whether or not she would win the 200. Yeah. So she came out with a kind of focus that I think she hasn't had since last year in the 200. She was aiming for the world record. And I think it manifested in the time that we saw today.
And to add to that, her post-race response didn't look in any way, shape or form as emphatic as it did last year when she won in Eugene. In fact, when she won, she looked serious. She didn't look very celebratory. She did say post-race that she has a sinus infection that bothered her. but we didn't get a celebratory look from her. She just had this serious look on her face as if job done and let's look to the relays tomorrow.
Well, the thing is this, she knows the job is not done, right? Because she has an opportunity of walking away from these championships with 2 gold medals. But she has to run at her best in that relay final tomorrow, because we know the Americans are going to bring in probably Gabby Thomas and Shericka Jackson, which will make the Americans a lot faster.
Yes.
And so the Jamaicans will have to be at their best, including her, for the Jamaicans to have a shot at winning a gold medal in the 4x1 relays. So I think her focus is now where it's supposed to be. So I think what we saw earlier in the competition, before the start of competition, was Shericka Jackson was really relaxed. That was having a good time. But you recognize now that maybe too much relaxation is not a good thing. So I think she's reassessed, she has reset, and I think that's the focus that we're going to see for the remainder of the championships.
Yeah, it seems to me, Leighton, that Shericka and Shakira Richardson have struck up quite a friendship.
Quite a friendship indeed.
We saw the embrace at the end of the 100 final. We saw it after the 200 semi-final. And after the final here, Shakira Richardson almost looked happier for Shericka than she did for herself, which is in stark contrast to what we saw in 2021 when Shakira finished last in the 100 at the Diamond League meet in Eugene, Oregon. What has changed in these 2 years that we're seeing this level of camaraderie among these women?
A couple of things. I think, one, Shakira is more mature than she was last year. I think her growth by the last year has been significant. She's gotten rid of a lot of the distractions. She's gotten rid of a lot of the angst and the frustrations and whatever it is that was tearing her up inside. And I think she's found herself, she's at a level now where she's calm. And the friendship between herself and Shericka is remarkable. You know, she literally threw herself into her arms at the end of the race, which was, you don't often see that in competition unless you are like sisters or, you know, really good friends from morning.
Yeah.
And so it's good to see that the rivalry is very friendly, but it's still intense because we see amazing
I was going to get to that. So you said it's good to see that the rivalry is friendly, and I wanted to know from you, because how often have we seen this from an American and a Jamaican? Are you afraid that this rivalry might become too tame? Because part of what
drives it,
I didn't want to say drives it, but almost part of what drags people to the rivalry is a tinge of animosity, if I may, and it just seems that doesn't exist anymore. Does it then take away from this rivalry going forward?
I don't necessarily think so. Here's the thing. What we saw on the track today was all the women putting their best effort out there. So I don't think it affects the rivalry. What I think a lot of fans like, however, is when they have a tinge of that, as you mentioned, animosity, that tension between rival countries, wherein it doesn't need much for a spark to light something a lot bigger, because we like the drama, we like all of that dramatics that go along with sports.
Yes.
But this is like just very, I said it before, and I think these athletes nowadays are a little bit too nice to each other, especially in track and field. There's a time when Justin Gatlin, or not even Justin Gatlin, Maurice Green used to have these rivalries, even with his own countrymen. And it made you want to see the performances, you know, somebody get beat.
Yeah. Like Noah Lyles and Fred Curley.
Yeah.
Mind you, wasn't much of a rivalry in Budapest because Fred Curley didn't make the 100 final. But again, part of what I think fueled this rivalry, even when it wasn't a rivalry, was because of the tension. And Shakira brought a lot of that tension. But now that tension seemingly does not exist. It's all, we're all friends, happy.
On the track, but off the track they're best buds. But I suppose, look, it's the dynamic these days with the current generation, what is it, X or Z, whatever.
Yes.
But the fact is that these women seem to get along very well. I mean, we saw, even with Shelly and Fraser Price, not as close as with Shericka, but she had, you know, very good conversation with Shelly. There's a reel going around.
You mean Miss Shelly?
Yeah, Miss Shelly, where...
That she grew up watching?
No, that one, where they were walking on the track, just off the track, and And Shelly was saying, you know how long America has won a title, and Sha'Carri says, because of you. So it's a nice thing, but at the same time, I think fans probably want to see a little bit more tension between them, as opposed to that, everybody being lovey-dovey. I mean, but it is what it is.
Noah Lyles and Knighton have some tension.
Yeah, that's a lot of tension.
Before we even get to that, guys, I want to say that I'm not advocating here that the athletes hate each other. I'm just saying in competition, sometimes that little bit of tension makes it so much more exciting and entertaining. And then thralling.
Yeah, we don't have to even go back far. Look at Bolt and Gatlin back in 2015.
Oh, yes.
When Gatlin was being touted as the villain to Bolt's hero.
Oh, yes.
And it drove a lot of interest into that 100-meter final that Bolt barely won, 9.79 to 9.80. Yeah. That's what I think draws fans to this kind of competition. So it kind of takes the edge off a little bit, but I kind of still enjoy what I'm seeing on the track because these women are fast. Yeah,
for sure. Noah Lyles promised us a lot coming into the World Championships. He promised us 9.65, that he could break Bolt's 200 record and 3 gold medals. He's delivered on 2 of the he's delivered on 2 of the 3 gold medals with 1 to come. The times, not so much. Talk us through that 200 final won by Lyles ahead of Knighton and Tebogo.
Well, it was clear from jump. I mean, you saw it in the semi-final where Noah Lyles took control of that race really early, 19.76, it won easily. Similarly in the final, he took control of that race from the minute he left the blocks. He was almost as good as Bolt in 2009 when he destroyed the field in the first 50 meters. Didn't quite have that separation, but he was still in command. Came up the curve and pulled away from the field. And of course, Knighton and Tebogo, 2 other youngsters, 118
and 120. Knighton is 19 now.
Yeah, he just turned 19 in January, forget. Yes. Yeah. And you're looking at a situation where they were the next best, which actually opens the door for a really great rivalry between these 3 in the years to come. Yes. And so, but Lyles was always going to be the winner. It was just a matter of the 19-1, which he had predicted, which I told you was never going to happen. He's not fast enough. Yes. And, no surprise there, 19.52 is pretty much within the wheelhouse of where I expected him to be. I expected him to go a little bit faster, actually. But the performance was still outstanding, and he's clearly now the best 200-meter runner in the world. And given the 100-meter title, you could actually say he's the best male sprinter in the world because he has both titles. Yeah. And I think it was a commanding performance from him.
Yeah, and slight disappointment for the Anguilla-born Brit Jean-El Hughes, who just missed out on a medal.
Disappointed,
but based on the prize money, I think he picks up US 6,000. I like what Ricardo said at the top when he said Fanbele, the Liberian, was out of the money, and he meant that both literally and figuratively because the top 8 earn money at the World Championships now. Yeah, but I think he was 9th.
Yeah, obviously, but I think Jean-El will be disappointed having run 19.73 this season and coming into these championships and getting a medal in the 100 in 9.88. I thought that he was capable of running 19.7 again in this final. 20.02 is not where he would be satisfied in running. Yeah. And I'm sure that he and Coach Glenn Mills will probably have a conversation about what he can do to have that kind of consistency going forward. Yeah. Because he's clearly talented. And you saw him fade down the stretch in a way which I did not expect of him. He came up the curve pretty much just behind Lyles. And then along the stretch, Knighton and Tebogo eased past him in a way that they're not supposed to, because he's officially now a 19.7 runner. He should have been able to maintain that pace down the stretch. Yeah. And I think he'll probably be a little disappointed.
And pre-2023, he was seen as a better 200 runner than a 100 runner. Yeah. To be clear, his 4th prize money is actually 16,000 US. Yes. I think I said 6.
Yeah. Good shopping money in Budapest. 1,000 US is 358,000 Funrits, I think the Hungarian dollar. Yes, so there's a lot of shopping going on here.
Listen, Leighton, what's happened to the Caribbean and the men's 200 meters? Yeah. There are so many sub-10 men, Jamaica especially, at 100 meters. But for some reason, it's not translating to the 200 meters.
I've been thinking about it for the last 4 years. Because Bolt retired in 2017. And since then, we haven't really seen Jerry Richards was for a time
Yes.
the leading runner in the 200.
And had it not been for the injury, I suspect Jareem Richards might have been in this World Championship final.
But he was running. He had chosen to run the 400
because of the injury. I suspect. Apparently, there is an injury.
Yeah, and hurt his foot.
Yeah, and he would have gone with the 400 meters. I guess less explosive than the 200.
Yeah, but
meters.
still, not 19.8. He would have been in the mix. But based on what we saw today, would he have been among the medals?
I don't think so. Yeah. But I would like to think he would have at least have been in the final.
But outside of Jareem, there isn't anybody else in the Caribbean. I mean, Andrew Hudson notwithstanding, there is nobody else running the times that are required these days in terms of anywhere from 19.8 down to 19.5s. We're not seeing those people. So I don't know. I've been thinking about why that is. And I can't come up with an honest answer because I really don't see where there's the talent there to do it. Antonio Watson was a potential 200-meter runner, somebody with that kind of talent. Yes. But he's chosen correctly, I think, the 400 meters. And I think he demonstrated that proof of that in winning the 400-meter title. But as to why we're not getting these guys, it's to me still a mystery.
10 seconds, Dayton, because we have to go to a break. Do you think there's anybody out there in the Caribbean that you can see now who you think has the potential to be a top 3 competitor in the men's 200 meters?
Not off the top of my head, not right now.
All right, we're going to be taking a break as we recap the World Athletics Championships from Budapest to Hungary, day number 7. Remember, you can catch the action 2 more days to go on the SportsMax app in 15 territories across the region. Make sure you check out our listings. Another golden day for the English-speaking Caribbean, golden day for Jamaica. Shericka Jackson with a championship record in the women's 200 meters. We'll be back to chat more on the World Championships after this.